you with his ruby lance. He'll murder you, he'll dingler you, and make you die to wretched brood. His oracle song will mesmerize, destroy your hand with giant corpse flies. He'll end you with a crashing blow, infamous Neo.
Hey there guys, so this is lesson 6 in my guide to drafting, and today we're going to go over the bee and bread. We're going to analyse some of the bombs, in fact all of the bombs in set 1. We're going to tell you why they're a bomb, when they're a bomb, and sort of how good they are in comparison to other cards. So we're going to go by shard here. We're going to start with artifact, of course, and the first bomb of the day is Argus, Herald of Doom. He's a 12 cost artifact, which seems quite a lot to begin with, but his effect really makes up for that. He's a flight troop, 5 attack, 5 defense, and at the start of your turn reveal Argus from your hand and it gets permanent cost -1. Now what this means is if you open with Argus in your hand, you're going to get this out on turn 6 if you drop a resource every turn, and if you don't, you know, maybe get him out on turn 7 or something. His effect really makes him a bomb. You exhaust him and you can void target card. Now what that means is just basically removes any single card you want from the game unless it has spell shield. If this guy's on the board and he's unanswered, he's going to win you the game. He's not going to win the game by direct damage, but he's going to win you game by pure card advantage. Every time you use this effect, you're putting your opponent on -1 card on their field, which is kind of crazy. It can remove any bomb in the game other than the ones with spell shield, so this is a really good card. If you see this in draft, pick it up. Obviously it's good because it doesn't require you to be in a shard to use. So yeah, this one's really powerful and also legendary. You won't see it that much, but when you do, you're going to want to take it. Don't pass this card. The next one here is Drew's Colossal Walker. It's a 5 cost artifact again. 8 attack, 8 defense. It has Crush, which means any damage that's remaining after the troop the troop that's blocking it is dead, goes through to your opponent's life. It must attack each turn if able. It can't ready during your ready step, and while it's exhausted you can pay 8 health to ready the troop. So 5 cost for an 8/8 is pretty crazy. Sometimes you'll only get 1 attack out of this guy, but if you get him out and he's uncontested and you're not really in danger of losing, potentially you can win the game in 2 turns with this guy. So this guy is really strong. Again, doesn't require a shard commitment for you to play him, so he's really strong. Eternal Guardian. This guy is so hard to deal with in limited play. He's an 8 cost 4/4 flyer. And his effect is prevent all damage that would be dealt to you and other troops you control. So if they can't kill this guy, which if you don't attack means they can't repel it, in a conflict obviously doesn't stop it. The only way they're killing this guy is with a terrible transfer, Ruby Lance, something like that, maybe an Argus, but the options for getting rid of this guy are very few. And as soon as you get this guy out, all of your troops don't take damage, you don't take damage. It's basically impossible to lose a game in a limited game. He's kind of hard to get to at 8 cost, but if you pick up this guy, you probably want to build around him. You probably want to build around getting towards him, and as soon as you drop this guy, you know, you've probably won. It's a very strong card indeed. Next card here is Slaughter Gear Renegade War Factory. Now this is more of a situational bomb, but he can be good in other decks as well. He's a 6 cost 5/6, which is okay for stats. Very hard to deal with, very hard to get around because there's not much in the game that can deal with a 6 defense troop. And his effect is 3 resources, exhaust another target ready artifact you control and transform it into a Warhulk. And you can see here that a Warhulk is a 5 cost 5/5 with Crush. So, you know, if you're playing artifact, you've got worker bots out, you can pay 3 and transform one of those straight away into a Warhulk. And obviously you've got 6 resources because this guy costs 6 to cast, so you can actually do this twice. Obviously very much a bomb in any artifact deck, but if you can, you know, splash Bertram Cragraven or have Ivory Pawns and whatnot in your deck, then he's pretty good anywhere really. Kind of situational. Okay, so next up is Volcannon. This is a 5 cost artifact with the effect exhaust a dwarf or robot you control, and deal 3 damage to each opposing champion. Exhaust 2 dwarves or robots you control and ready this artifact. So you've probably come up against this a few times in draft already. You exhaust this artifact and exhaust a dwarf or robot you control, and it deals 3 damage directly to your opponent, and then you can obviously ready the artifact by tapping 2 dwarves or robots you control, and then potentially use it again if you have a 4th one. The reason why this is a bomb is because the damage is unavoidable. You can put it in a lot of decks. If you just put Bertram Cragraven in, any Sapphire deck can run Volcannon, due to the fact you have a ready source of robots from charge powers. So this card is obviously a complete ridiculous bomb in an artifact deck or a dwarf deck, and you know, pretty good in any Sapphire deck really. Moving on to the Sapphire cards here, we have Archmage Renlock, who's also a legendary. He's a 4-cost 3/3. Anytime you play an action, draw a card. Now this card can be kind of hard to use, but it's essentially a card that gives you a lot of card advantage if used right, and that's something that you can consider a bomb too. Bombs aren't always cards which are just going to win you the game by straight up damage. They can also be cards that just provide you with a lot of card advantage, and this is one of those cards. Again, very situational. You need to have a lot of actions in your deck to really make them work, but if you're running a heavy action deck and you're building around this guy, playing an action, drawing a card can be pretty powerful. Bird of Plenty, another card which is a bomb because of the card advantage it gives you, and the sort of the board control as well. It's a 6-cost 0/1 with flight, and it has the effect, if damage will be dealt to this troop, draw that many cards instead. Now, I've played this card a couple of times, and what generally happens is I don't really get to draw cards off of it. Sometimes I do, but mostly not, because what it does, it just stops your opponent from attacking you and lets you pretty much do whatever the hell you want while this is on the board. If you're in a bad situation, you can come back from a game because they can't attack you. They know if they attack you, you're going to be drawing a lot of cards, preventing the damage that their troops are dealing to you, and like easily drawing an answer to what they have on the board. Next card is Cerulean Mirror Knight. He's a pretty low cost bomb, and he's another card which potentially wins you the game by providing you with a lot of card advantage. He turns every card into a sort of cantrip, a card that replaces itself. Any card with 2 or higher cost that comes into play after this guy will get the permanent effect: when this troop dies, draw a card. And that kind of means that anytime you lose a troop, the card just replaces itself. You'll draw another card, and you'll never be out of answers, and this card can win you the game if it's left there for too long. And you know, it happens. Another card which is sort of on the verge of being a bomb is Cloud Titan. It's a 4/4 with a flight, and that's really hard to deal with. It costs 5. There's probably some debate about whether this is an actual bomb or not, but either way, it's a really powerful card. You get this on the board, it's going to be hard to deal with. You're going to have a hard time getting around this if it's on the opposing side of the board, and obviously it can just swing through because it has evasion. Eldritch Dream is the next one. It's a 4-cost 3/3. It's a sockable major, and it can't be blocked. This card can do so many things. It's got obviously a socket here. The most common gem you'll find in this guy is probably this one here. When this troop deals damage to an opposing champion, draw a card. Obviously this troop can't be blocked, so this guy can get through for 3 damage without any problems, can't be blocked, and then when it does, it draws you a card. So not only is it killing them very, very slowly, 3 at a time, but it's also giving you huge card advantage. You know, it can create rhinos. You could also put the Gravedigger gem in it. When this troop deals damage to an opposing champion, you may put target troop from your graveyard into your hand. Either way, whatever gem you put in this guy, it's going to end up giving you card advantage or a lot of buffs. You could put Solidarity in it. When this troop deals damage to an opposing champion, troops you control get permanent +1/+1. This card is one of the more superior bombs, in my opinion. If you get this card, it's going to do some work. So Menacing Grauk. This is a bit of a weird one. Kind of situational, and it has 3 threshold. It's a 5-cost 2/2 with flight. So obviously the bomb part of this card comes from its effect, and its effect is when it comes into play, exhaust each opposing troop. Those troops can't ready during their controller's next ready step. So it does need some other cards with it to work properly, but it's still what I would consider a bomb. If you've got a bunch of troops out on the board, the game's in a locked state or something, or even if it's not, you can play this guy. It'll exhaust all your opponent's troops, and you can swing for free. You're going to get a bunch of free damage through, and those troops that are exhausted don't ready during the next ready step, so you can do it again the next turn as well. They'll maybe put 1 or 2 blockers out, but you'll still get most of the damage through as well. And then after all that's happened, it's still a 2/2 flyer, although it does cost 5, and you need to be very heavy in Sapphire to use it. Okay, so the last one for Sapphire here is Storm Colossus. It's a 7-cost triple threshold card. Again, triple threshold when you're at 7 shards. Should not be too hard to do. He's a 6/6 flyer with Spell Shield. Spell Shield is an effect which basically means this card can't be targeted by opposing cards and effects. Any global effects will still work on this card, so Extinction would work, Grout would work, but it basically can't be targeted by single target removal or cards like Wind Whisperer. A 6/6 flyer is kind of an unstoppable force anyway, but when it can't be removed, it's kind of crazy. So this card, very, very powerful. Again, very hard to get to because of that 7 cost, but you can build around that. You can make sure you can get to it by using some ramp or including a bit more resource in your deck. Either way, very, very powerful card. Certainly not one you want to be passing up. So onto Blood now. We have Claw of the Mountain God. He's a 3 cost 5/4, which is absolutely ridiculous, and his effect is actually a drawback for you. At the start of your turn, this troop deals 2 damage to you. So he's a 5/4 that comes out on turn 3, which in itself is very, very hard to deal with. Taking 5 damage a turn from a 3 cost troop on turn 3, like, your opponent may not even have any blockers out yet. So he's a card that can win the game, and he can win it fast. He could put them in the position where they're on such little life, it's really not going to make a difference. He does deal 2 damage to you each turn, but it's going to be hard to get around. They're going to have to deal with it, and you know, the damage is probably worth the benefit he gives you early on. Next card here is Corrupt Harvester. Now this is a card that can win you the game if left unchecked. It's a 4 cost 3/3. It can't be blocked except by artifact troops or blood troops, so any other shards, you just can't block this guy, and he has life drain. So if you're up against any deck that isn't artifact or blood, this guy can just swing through for 3 damage, again much like the Dreamer, and anytime he does, he's going to be gaining you 3 life as well. So he's going to put you further away from death and put them further to death, and he can just win the game on his own if he's left unchecked. Next card here is Endbringer. Very, very situational bomb, but a bomb nonetheless. If you pick up this guy, you may want to go into Orcs. He's a 5 cost 4/4, which isn't bad, not great, but not bad. And he has the effect, this and other Orcs you control get Rage too. Rage is a keyword that means every time a troop attacks, it gets plus attack equal to the number here. So any time an Orc attacks, it would get Rage 2 for each champion who has 10 or less health. This can be Rage 4 if both players are on less than 10 health, or 10 or less rather, and obviously Rage 2 if just your opponent or you are on 10 or less health. But very situational, probably only playable in Orc decks or decks with a lot of Orcs. But there are a lot of Orcs in the game right now, so he's certainly a card you could look towards building around. This is another card that really wins you the game by giving you a lot of card advantage. This card destroys all troops for 4 cost. It's double blood threshold, and you know, if you play at the right time, you can potentially get a 5/1 or a 6/1 with this card, and that's going to be hard for your opponent to recover from. So mass removal, generally bomb worthy. And the next card here is High Tomb Lord. He is a bit of a weird one. He's kind of obviously very easy to block. He doesn't have crush, and he's very easy to kill. He's got nothing special to stop him from dying, but if he does remain on the board, he's probably going to win you the game too. He gets +1/+1 for each card in all graveyards, so this guy could easily be like a 15/15 or a 20/20, and if they don't have a blocker, that's just them dead, and if they do have a blocker, they have to block it. So he's probably on the lower end of bombs, but he's still pretty good. Next blood card here is Malice Demon. It's a 7 cost 8/8, which is above curve already, below curve should I say rather, and it has Flight and Crush. Kind of hard to get to being 7 cost, but still, when you play this card, if they can't answer it, it's going to win the game. Flight and Crush, even if they have flying blockers, you still get damage through. Almost impossible to kill with a 8 defense there, so he's pretty good. Next card is Sadistic Castigator. Again, a very heavy blood card here, but he's a 6 cost 4/4 flight, which is not bad. Again, it's not the best stats for the cost, but his effect is really what makes him worthwhile. And his effect is when your opponent draws a card, they reveal it, and then you deal damage to them equal to the card's cost. So you don't even need to attack with this guy. This guy can just sit on the board and kill your opponent without you actually doing anything, just by them drawing cards. So yeah, pretty good card. Obviously you have to be heavy in blood, but if you get it, you can build around it. You can build with terrible transfers and all kinds of good blood stuff. This is a card most of you should know as well. Uranaz, he's a 7 cost 5/5 flyer. When he enters play or deals damage to an opposing champion, you may put target troop for an opposing graveyard into play under your control. This effect is pretty insane, honestly. Again, this guy's triple threshold, but by the time you get to 7, you shouldn't have a problem having that much threshold, regardless of the split on your colors, really. He's a 5/5 flyer for 1, which is really hard to deal with, but his effect is just insane. You can bring back any troop from their graveyard when he comes into play, so not only are you getting this guy, but you get their best troop as well, and anytime he hits them, you get another one of their troops too. So this effect is obviously very, very good. Definitely a build around card, definitely a card you want if you see it. Don't pass this guy. Even if you're not in blood, don't let it go, because you don't want your opponents having this card. Okay, so on to Vampire King. He's a 4-cost 3/4 flyer with Life Drain. Life Drain is an ability that means anytime it deals damage, you gain that much health. So that's pretty cool by itself. His effect is the real bomb part of him, though. When this troop deals damage to an opposing champion, reveal a random card from their hand. If it's a troop, transform it into a vampire and put it into play. So a vampire is a 2/2 flyer with Life Drain as well. Apparently can't see it, but never mind. Yeah, this guy, even if they don't hit, even if you don't hit a troop in their hand, it still gives you a lot of information. If you do hit a troop, obviously it reduces their card advantage by 1. And also gives you a +1 card advantage because you've just got a troop on the board, which is also an evasion life drain troop, so it's a pretty good troop nonetheless. But at the very least, you get some information, you get to see the card in their hand, so you get to sort of know what they're holding. This is a bomb in limited, this is a bomb in constructed, this is pretty much a bomb anywhere. Very, very strong card. Never pass this guy. I mean, it's kind of obvious just by reading him. Next one here is Zentos Inquisitor, another 4-cost blood card with a double threshold. This guy's a 3/1, and he's a socketable major. There is probably a trend here. Any socketable major card is likely going to be a bomb. When this troop dies, put it into your hand, and it gets permanent cost +2. So usually you're going to be wanting to put this gem in him. When this troop enters play, target opposing troop gets permanent minus attack equal to this troop's attack. So he'll come into play, he'll be a 3/1. His effect will trigger, you'll target a troop, and that troop will get -3 attack. And then this guy's on the board, you can block with him again. When he's blocked and he's dead, he comes back into your hand and becomes a 6-cost troop with the same effect. So it's sort of like a renewable removal effect, which is pretty decent overall. You can put a couple of other things. You could put the direct damage gem in here, the ruby gem. When he comes into play, he'll deal 3 damage to the opposing champion, and obviously you can block with him, attack with him, or whatever. When he dies, comes back, becomes a 6-cost, and you can do that again. Pretty good card. Not really anywhere near the level of Vampire King, but certainly a bomb nonetheless. It's not going to win you the game on its own, but it's going to control the board to such a way that you can probably win the game. Last card in blood here is Zombie Plague. It's a 3-cost double threshold constant. With the effect, at the start of your turn, reveal 3 random cards from each opposing champion's deck. Troops revealed this way get permanent -1/-1. Then void each of these troops with defense 0 or less, and create a zombie for each troop voided this way and put them into play. So what this card does is it essentially looks through your opponent's deck 3 cards at a time every turn, and reduces their stats by -1/-1, which by itself is great. Like, you're just destroying your opponent's troops without them even being on the board, so when they do come into play, they're going to be a little bit smaller than they were. And the other effect is that when their defense is reduced to 0, it actually removes that troop from the game and gives you a zombie, which is a 2/2 for 2. Not great, but it is another troop on the board, and it is something that is removing troops from their deck as well. So all in all, card advantage, troop destruction, very good card. Like, it could get to the point where they literally have no troops left in their deck and they can't win. First card for Diamond here is Angel of Dawn. It's a 5-cost single threshold 4/4 flyer with Steadfast. Steadfast means when it attacks, it doesn't exhaust, which means you can block with it as well. Its effect is for a single diamond threshold. When you draw this card, if it's the first card you draw this turn, play it for free. This is why this card's a bomb. Again, a bomb in constructed or limited. All you have to do is draw this card and it comes into play for free. If you put a Diamond Shard in on turn 1 and you draw this on turn 2. On turn 2 you have a 4/4 Flight Steadfast troop, which is undoubtedly going to win you the game. Second card for Diamond here is Ascetic Aspirant. He's a 4-cost 3/4, again not bad. And he's a bit of a strange card. You can exhaust him to transform him into an Enlightened Seeker. Enlightened Seeker is a 4-cost 0/1, and you can't play cards while this guy's in play. And at the end of your turn, draw a card. Then if you have 7 or more cards in hand, transform this troop into Transcended. So you can't play cards while this guy's out, but he does give you some card advantage. You're probably going to want to do this when you have 6 cards in your hand, so immediately you draw a card and this guy will transform into the Transcended. And the Transcended is the version of this guy that is the bomb. If you would draw a card, instead search your deck for any card and put it into your hand. So not only is he a 5/5, which is pretty good already, but anytime you draw a card, you can just look in your deck and pick out whatever you want, and that by itself is absolutely insane. Obviously, if you're running counter magics or any kind of negation effects like Stone Skin, you can just stop this guy from dying. You can get whatever you need to win the game. This guy's kind of insane. Very, very hard to get online, but if you can, you're probably going to win. Next one is Forgotten Lord. He's an uncommon. He has Steadfast and Spell Shield. He's a 3/4. Now, by himself, I wouldn't really say he's a bomb. What makes him a bomb in my eyes is, again, Spell Shield, very powerful effect. You can't target the troops that have Spell Shield, so this makes him a very, very good aura target. If you put buffs on this guy, he's just going to truck through for tons of damage, and they can't really do anything about it. His base stats aren't that good, but you can change that very easily. He's not a bomb on his own, but he's a very, very powerful card. I would consider him a bomb just because of the Spell Shield and the reasonably high base stats, and the fact that when you have the right cards, he can become quite ridiculous. So the next card for Diamond is His Majesty King Gabriel. He's a 6-cost 4/4 with Steadfast. His effect is, when he enters play, create a Bold Heart and put it into play. And Bold Heart is a 6-cost 6/5. You don't have to pay for it. It comes into play for free. And his effect is prevent all damage that we've dealt to His Majesty King Gabriel. So once you play Gabriel, he costs 6, you get 4/4 and a 6/5. A 6-cost 6/5 by itself would be good, but the fact you get those extra 4/4 in the attack and defense on a separate troop is kind of insane. And then obviously Bold Heart's effect basically means your Gabriel can't die, and your Gabriel has Steadfast, so you can attack with your Gabriel every single turn, block with him every single turn, and he's not going to die to damage. So very, very good card, and actually kind of cheap. One of the cheaper bombs, and very, very good. Next one here is Living Totem. This is another cheap bomb, but a bomb nonetheless. It's a 2-cost 2/2, and it has a bunch of effects here. For 3, you can give it permanent +1/+1, permanent Swift Strike, permanent Flight, permanent Life Drain, and permanent Steadfast. So very, very quickly, this guy can become like a 6/6 with Swift Strike, Flight, Life Drain, and Steadfast. If they can't get rid of him, he will win you the game. That's pretty much a guarantee. As long as you have 3 resources to use his effect every turn, he can get bigger than any troop they can play, he can gain you life, he can kill any troop they can play, and he can also evade over them with the flight keyword too. Next one here is Azal, Cosmic Elder. This is an 8-cost 0/0 with Life Drain. Its effect is that it gets plus attack and plus defense equal to X, where X is your health. So whatever your health is, this guy has that much attack and defense. So he could be a 12/12 or a 20/20 or a 30/30. Again, kind of hard to get out. By the time you get 8 resources, you may not be on that high health, but even if you've got like 8 health or something, this guy's still going to be an 8/8 for 8, and he's going to attack in for 8 and become a 16/16. So he's pretty good. Last card for Diamond here is Protectorate Defender. He's a Socketable Major again. The trend is the Socketable Major troops generally quite good. A 2-cost 2/1. When this troop dies, shuffle it into your deck. But the reason for this guy being so good is that he has a major socket and he's only 2 costs, so you can get him out on turn 2. And normally you're going to see the Solidarity gem in him, which is this one here. When this troop deals damage to an opposing champion, troops you control get +1/+1. So anytime this connects with your opponent's face, every troop you control is going to get +1/+1, including himself. So even though he's a 2/1, if you play this on turn 2 and you went first, and you manage to get hit 3 before they've got a blocker, or you remove their blocker somehow, like with Inner Conflict or Murder, he's going to immediately become a 3/2. And if they didn't have a blocker, you can play another troop out, and that's going to get the +1 and +1 as well. And if he becomes uncontested and just carries on hitting them, all your troops are going to get stupidly big, and they're not going to be able to win. So moving on to Wild here. Battle Beetle is a 6-cost 5/5, socketable major. Again, socketable major. Pretty much any card with a major socket is considered a bomb at this point. You can pay 2 to give him flight, and obviously you can put any gem in him. So a lot of the time you saw Spell Shield in him, because a 5/5 with Spell Shield is pretty relevant, especially one that can fly. But depending on what you're up against, you might want to switch that out for the Rhino gem, or maybe the Draw gem. Pretty much any gem can go in this guy. He's probably one of the less powerful major socket troops. He's probably above Protector or Defender, but below all the rest. Nevertheless, he's still pretty good. Next card here is Boulder Brute. This is actually something that I would consider to be a common bomb, much along the same lines as the Forgotten Lord here. Most of the time you're going to see Spell Shield in this guy, or Flight. A 5-cost 4/4 flyer is pretty good, as we saw with the Cloud Titan up here. So you can make him a Cloud Titan essentially by just putting the Flight gem. But if you're running Wild Sapphire, you can put the Spell Shield gem in it, and then you can give him Flight using the Charge Power, and that makes him a 5-cost 4/4 flyer with Spell Shield, which is pretty insane. Again, making him a very, very good buff target, a very good aura target, and he can win the game all by himself once he's got that Spell Shield active. Very, very hard card to deal with. Next card here is Crazed Squirrel Titan. He's a 6-cost 4/4. When this troop enters play, it battles target opposing troop. Now, this is probably on the lower end of the bombs as well. It's only a 4/4 for 6, but its effect is pretty good. It comes into play and it battles another target troop, and obviously you can kill that troop if it's got less defense than 4, and this troop won't die if it's got less attack than 4. So it can either be like a 6-cost removal spell, or it can be a removal spell that gives you a 4/4 body on the board at the same time. Again, probably in the lower end of removal, but still very, very good. If you see this card, you want to pick it up, if you're in Wild anyway. Next card here is Eye of Creation. It's a 3x cost, which I'll get into in a second. Reveal the top X cards of your deck. Put each troop revealed this way into play and shuffle the remaining cards into your deck. So X essentially means when you play this card, you pay an additional X of your choice, equal to the amount of resources you have left maximum, and then the effect of this card is altered by X. So if you play this card and pay 3 + 5, you'll be looking at the top 5 cards of your deck, and any troops there will get put into play for free. Obviously that's a very, very powerful effect. You could put a bunch of troops into play for free. They could all be troops, one of them could be troops. It's kind of random, but if you build your deck the right way, this can be a very, very good card. And obviously it's one of the more expensive legendaries too, so you probably don't want to pass it up anyway. Next card here is Fist of Brigadon. He's a 6 threshold, 6-cost 6/6. Pretty much only playable if you're playing Mono Wild, but if you are playing Mono Wild, if you open this card in your first pack, you probably want to build around it, go into Mono Wild, and he has Crush and Invincible. And Invincible means this card can't be damaged or destroyed, and he must attack each turn if able. So he's a 6/6, 4/6 with Crush and Invincible. You can't kill him essentially. You can still be hit by Inner Conflict or Mesmerize or something, but any destroy effects or troop damage won't kill him, and he'll just, you know, go through on your opponent for days. Next one here is Genesis Hydra. It's a 4/4 for 4, which is good. Its effect is when this troop is dealt damage, it gets permanent +1/+1. This is another card that can stop your opponent from attacking. If you play this on turn 4 and they don't have any troops that can kill it, they're not going to attack. They might not attack anyway, purely on the basis that if they have to attack with smaller troops as well to get some damage through, they're just going to make this thing bigger and bigger. And obviously, if they don't have blockers that can kill it, they're either going to have to double block or they're going to have to let it through. So again, not the best bomb in the world, but still a bomb nonetheless. Next one here is Jadim. He's a 5-cost triple threshold wild card. He's a 5/5 flyer. Again, probably a card you want to be heavy wild or at least mono wild to play, because, you know, triple threshold at 5 cost is pretty hard to get to. His effect is when you play a non-resource card, Jadim gets +X this turn, where X is that card's cost. So if you play this guy on turn 5 and then you play, say, I don't know, an Azume on turn 6, for example. This guy's going to become an 11/11 flyer, which is, you know, a lot of damage if they can't block it or get rid of it. Next card here is Onslaught. I see this card going around all the time in draft. No one seems to pick it up. It's a 6-cost triple threshold card that gives every troop you control +3/+3 and crush until end of turn. And I don't understand why I see this card wheeling so much. This card is insane. All you need to do really is just have a bunch of troops out, have a little bit of damage done to your opponent, like 3 or 4 troops, and play this on turn 6, and you're probably going to win that turn. Because +3/+3 to all your troops, even if you have only 4, that's 12 damage, plus whatever attack they had originally, and then that damage crushes through as well. That's probably going to win you the game on that turn, pretty much regardless. Okay, so next up here is Azume Grand Concubine. She's a 6-cost 3/5, which isn't great, but again, it's her effect that really makes her a bomb here. At the start of your turn, create a random non-unique shin hair and put it into play. This is kind of confusing because I can't really show you what it creates, but essentially any shin hair in the game that is non-unique, as in it doesn't have the unique keyword, she can create one of those at the start of your turn. So essentially every turn she's giving you an extra card on board. That could be a great card, it could be a terrible card. There are some pretty good shin hair, and over the course of time your board's going to get pretty unstoppable if this card stays there. And obviously at the very least you have an infinite supply of blockers every turn. So she's pretty cool, very hard to deal with, and obviously if you leave her there for a long time she's just going to overwhelm your opponent completely. Next card here is Wild Root Dancer, a 3-cost 2/2. The effect again is why this card is a bomb. When you play a resource, another target troop you control gets permanent +2/+2. So not a card that's going to win you the game on its own because it can't target itself, but as long as you have other troops and resources, you can give them a permanent, essentially wild aura without the crush every single time you play a resource, which is kind of insane. And if this card stays there for long enough and the other troops don't get removed, they're just going to become bigger and bigger. Obviously if you've got something like a Boulder Brute with Spell Shield, they're never going to be able to get rid of that troop, but they may be able to get rid of the Dancer. But by that point, as long as you've done some buffs, you've got the worth out of this card. Last card for Wild here is Wrathwood Colossus. Now this card is a 9-cost triple threshold card that is a 9/9 with Crush and Steadfast. 9 is not an easy number to get to, but you know, you can build around this card if you pick it up in your first pack. You need to get Chlorophyllias, Hex Engines, Howling Braves, that kind of thing. Or just a bunch of stalls, so you can stall out until you get to the 9 resources. But once you play this card, it's very hard to deal with. When it enters play, you gain 9 health, which is basically half of your health already. And then when this troop dies, put it into your hand. So as long as you're at 9 resources, anytime this dies, so they could repel it, they could murder it to not take the damage from it, but then you can just play it again and you're going to gain another 9 health when you play it again. So even if they kill it, they're still putting you further out of reach for them, and eventually they're just going to run out of answers for it, and you're just going to be able to crush through for a 9/9. And even if they block it and kill it again, it just comes back to your hand. You've taken out their troops, and you can just play this card again and carry on, gain another 9 health. Into Ruby now finally. Ash Harpy is a 6-cost 0/4 with Flight, Speed and Rage 4. So we've talked about Rage, we haven't seen Speed yet. Speed is a keyword that essentially means the card can attack or use its exhaust abilities the turn it comes into play. So this card comes in 6-cost 4/4 with Flight as Rage 4, so anytime it attacks it gets permanent +4 to its attack. So this comes in, you attack with it, it becomes a 4/4 flyer, and on the next turn this is going to be an 8/4 flyer, and then the next turn after that it's going to be a 16/4 flyer. So you can see why this card's good. The evasion, the Rage 4, it can become very hard to deal with, and it's going to kill them in a couple of turns if they can't answer it. Next card here is Crown of the Primals. It's a 5-cost constant with 3 Ruby threshold with a 1-shot ability. 1-shot means the ability can only be used once per game, unless some other stuff happens here. The 1-shot ability costs 1. You choose a target troop you control. That troop gets permanent Speed, Crush, Swift Strike and Rage 3. So the card you use this on can attack the turn it comes into play. It has Crush, so the damage is going to trample through. Swift Strike. Swift Strike means that it deals damage first during the combat phase. So if it kills the troop it's fighting with before it deals damage back to it, then it won't die, it won't take any damage back, and Rage 3. So every time it attacks it gets +3 attack as well. When the chosen troop leaves play, revert this constant. Revert is a mechanic that essentially changes the card back to its original state. There's a card called Reversion, there's Manti Elder Druid and Boltpool Wizard that all have this effect. It removes buffs, it removes anything that's happened to the card during the game, any permanent effects, including one-shot abilities. So if you use this one-shot effect and the troop that you've used the one-shot effect on dies, this card will be reverted back to its original state and you can use the one-shot ability again. And the same goes for any other one-shot abilities. If you revert the card that's used its one-shot ability, you can use those one-shot abilities again. Next card here is Elimination Specialist. A very situational bomb, but a bomb nonetheless. 4 cost, 3/2, uncommon. This troop enters play with a rocket counter on it for each artifact you control. So situational in the sense that you really only want to be playing this card if you're running artifacts. But essentially you can remove a rocket counter from this troop to deal 1 damage to target troop. And at the end of turn remove all rocket counters from this troop. So on the turn you play it, if you have say 7 artifacts out, it's going to get 7 rocket counters, and you can divide 7 damage as you choose amongst the troops on your opponent's side of the board, and that could essentially be a board wipe. It's not quite as powerful as something like Extinction, but in a dwarf deck this card can, you know, be like a 3 for 0 or a 4 for 0, just take out all their troops. I've played this card when they've had 4/1 2/1 flyers on the board and just taken out all of them and basically got a 4 for 0 trade there. Okay, so the next card here is Gore Feast of Cog Capital. It's a 4 cost basic action, and what it does is troops you control get Rage 1 this turn. After the first post-combat main phase this turn, there's an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase. At the start of that combat phase, ready each troop that attacked this turn. So what this means is every troop you control gets a temporary Rage 1 effect, which means when they attack they'll get +1 to their attack stat. And then after you've attacked with all your troops and they're all exhausted, you'll get an additional combat phase where all of your troops ready and you can attack once more. So they still keep the Rage 1, so essentially every troop you control will be able to attack twice and get an additional +2 attack, 1 on the first attack, 1 on the second attack. And if you have a lot of troops out, this can be kind of unstoppable. Even if you have just a couple, or Poker, the Conflagrator, Charge Power or something, this can get through a ridiculous amount of damage, and this is a card you probably want to pick up, and if you pick up this in the first pack, probably go into Ruby, because this card is kind of crazy and kind of good. Next up we have Hellhound. It's a 6 cost, 4/4 Socket Orbital Miner troop, with the effect you can pay 1 resource, and this troop gets +1, +0 this turn. So every resource you pump into this guy, it's going to get +1 attack until the end of turn. And it's a Socket Orbital Miner, so that means you can give it a couple of things. You can give it speed, you can give it flight, you could give it spell shield. The one you'll most commonly see in this guy is this one right here. This troop can't be blocked except by artifact troops and or troops that share a shard with it. So the only thing that can block this guy with this gem is an artifact troop or a ruby troop, and anything else isn't going to be able to block it. The reason this guy's a bomb is because he costs 6 to play, which is quite a high amount of resource, and the turn after you play him and he's able to attack, he's actually a 10/4 because you could pump 6 resources into him. He becomes a 10/4, and if you've got the unblockable gem in him, he's going to end up dealing a hell of a lot of damage, most likely 10, maybe even 11 if you've dropped an extra resource that turn. Next card here is Master Theory Crafter. He's a 5 cost 2/2, which isn't great. Honestly, his stats make him less powerful. If he had even 3 defense, he'd be so much higher ranked. And he's a Socketable Major, the final Socketable Major troop. Every shard has one. You can pay 2 and exhaust this guy to create a Warbot and put it into play. It gets speed and the socketed powers of this troop. At the end of turn, void that Warbot. So the gem you'll most often see in this guy is this gem right here, and this gem is a single threshold gem that says when this troop enters play, it deals damage equal to its attack to target opposing champion. So when you play this guy for the first time, he will deal 2 damage to your opponent, and then when you use his effect to create a Warbot, the Warbot shares that effect. A Warbot is a 3/3, so it will come in and it will deal 3 damage. Okay, you can't see it, but it is a 3/3. It'll deal 3 damage directly to their face. So this guy's already done 5 damage for 5 cost, and then that Warbot also has speed as well, so you can attack with it and potentially deal another 3. And every turn, obviously, you can do that and deal 3 to the opposing champion every single time. So Rampaging Tarrasque. This is one of the worst bombs in my opinion, but still one. It's a 5 cost, 5 threshold ruby card with speed and crush, and it's an 8/1. So it can do a lot of damage. It can do potentially 8 damage per turn if they have no blockers. If they have a blocker, this guy's probably going to die the first swing you make with it, but regardless, it's still a lot of damage. It's like a huge burn spell essentially, and it's going to kill whatever they block it with as well. If you manage to give this guy Swift Strike or something, he's going to become ridiculous, but you know, in a vacuum, he's not that good. He's okay. He's certainly a card you could build around if you get him, go into Mono Ruby maybe, but not the best, but still quite good. So, next up we have Royal Falconeer, who's a 4 cost 2/1. Again, stats aren't great, but you'll understand why pretty soon. When this troop enters play, create 2 Royal Falcons and put them into play. This troop's pets get plus attack equal to this troop's attack. So, in Ruby, getting plus attack isn't that hard. You've got the charge power from Lionel Flynn, which gives plus 3 attack to a troop. You've got Ruby Pyromancer, which gives plus 1 attack. And you've got Sword Trainer, who also gives attack equal to her attack via the Inspire mechanic. So when this guy comes into play, he gets essentially 2 0/1 birds that on the base are 2/1s because of his attack being 2. But if this guy has any buffs on him at all, so if you were to say use Lionel Flynn's power on him, these 2 birds would be 5/1s with flight. So that's 3 troops for 4 that are all 5/1. Kind of crazy, kind of good. And he's a 4 cost, so he can be hit by Sword Trainer as well. Sword Trainer is a troop that has the Inspire mechanic, and if this troop comes into play, he would get plus 2 attack, and these would be 4/1 birds. The birds themselves are actually 3 cost, so if you have something like a Ruby Pyromancer or a Protectorate Clergyman in play, this guy would get buffed up by 1 attack from the Pyromancer, making the birds 3/1s, and the birds would also get buffed up via the Inspire mechanic because they cost higher or equal to the Ruby Pyromancer's cost, so these guys would actually be 4/1s, and even if this guy died, they would retain 1 attack. They would be 1/1s, so pretty good. He's very easy to get rid of. If you get rid of the Falconeer, the birds lose the bonus because it's a continuous effect, but if he doesn't die or you've buffed up the birds as well via the Inspire mechanics, then they could be pretty good even if the Master dies too. So penultimate card here is Tatalka Orc Gladiator. It's a 5 cost 4/4. Pay 3 and exhaust this troop. Tatalka battles an opposing troop. When that troop dies this turn, if Tatalka is in play, transform her into Tatalka High Cleric. So you can pay 3, exhaust this troop, and force a battle between this and another troop. Obviously you want to use it on something like a 1/1 or a 1/2 to make sure that it dies and this has no chance of dying. And when that happens, when that troop dies, this turns into Tatalka the High Cleric, who's a 5/5, and all of your cards and effects deal double damage. I don't really need to explain why that's good. Everything you do will deal double damage. That's about it. Great card. Certainly don't want to pass it. If you get it, build around it. Last one here is Zoltog. He's a 4 cost 4/4, which is already amazing. He's an Orc Ranger and he's unique. When an Orc troop you control deals damage to target champion, deals damage to a champion rather, create a Savage Raider and put it into play. So anytime an Orc you control deals damage to a champion while you've got this guy out, you get a free 2/1. And these 2/1s are also Orcs, so if they deal damage, they will also make this guy create 2/1s. And something that most people don't realize is that a lot of the Orcs have damage dealing effects. This effect doesn't specify that it needs to be an opposing champion. It can be any champion. So if you've got, say, Claw of the Mountain God, who at the start of your turn deals 2 damage to you, that counts as dealing damage to a champion. So if you have Claw of the Mountain God or Fang of the Mountain God out and they deal damage to you via their effects, then Zoltog here is actually going to create a Savage Raider and put it into play. So that's pretty much all of them. Let me know if you have any differing opinions, or if you think there are cards that I've missed out that really should be on the list, or any cards that you think maybe shouldn't be on this list. I'd love to hear your opinions on that. I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. If you like what you see, be sure to subscribe. If you have any questions, then please let me know. You can ask what you want.